So the Division dropped an announcement on Twitter that they're going to reveal what's coming for year 6 in the Division 2 as part of the Ubisoft Forward event happening on June 10th, 2024. And this might look like great news, but the community is pissed off. Let's figure out why. Interesting times indeed. So we're just wrapping up the end of year 5, season 3. We're in our final weeks and we're entering into June, and a lot happens in June. We have the Summer Games reveal from Microsoft and more, including the Ubisoft Forward event happening on June 10th. That just so happens to be around the same time that year 6 season 1 drops, which we have penciled in for June 11th, the following day after Ubisoft Forward is presented. And on Twitter today, the Division dropped this tweet. Tune in to Ubisoft Forward and learn what's coming in year 6 for the Division 2. In case you're not familiar, normally we have a season reveal live stream dedicated just for the Division 2 by the developers. It's usually a 2-man crew in front of the camera, and they throw up a slideshow and show us what we're to expect. It's quite basic, but there's also a little bit of Q&A, and they make sure we fundamentally understand why they're going the way that they went during that live stream. They're very helpful, but more importantly, it's dedicated. And this year, it looks like they're gonna roll in the season 1 reveal as part of the Ubisoft Forward event, which is a much bigger thing. And that's a little disappointing because it shows a lack of dedication to the player base. Well, it's super easy to justify and say, hey, well, it's a calendar thing. Ubisoft Forward is the day before the season is launched. So June 10th would normally be the day that they did that live stream reveal for the Division 2. So it looks like it was a scheduling conflict, but not really, because they could just reschedule the year 6 season 1 reveal for earlier. They could do it on the Friday before, or record it and just launch it as a video on demand over the weekend. Why not? The point isn't really that we get the information, is it? The point is showing that the developers care about the community, that Ubisoft is invested in the player base and shows their commitment by dedicating an hour of their time to the presentation. And so when they strip this away from us, it brings up feelings of abandonment. It brings up Division Heartland. It brings up those days when the devs disappeared on the Division 2 for multiple years and were running rerun seasons. All you have to do is read the comments in this post. There are almost no positive comments. It's overwhelmingly disheartening and negative when you scroll through this. So let's go through the feed and see what the community has to say. Aiden the Wolf over on Twitter asks, will this be the live stream for the upcoming season? So he's talking about year 6, season 1. And that's really a darn good question because they're really vague on what they say here in the post. They say, hey, tune in to see what's up with year 6. And if I were a betting man, I'd say there's probably going to be a roadmap showing players what they can expect to see in year 6. But the question is, down to what detail? Now, normally we get a walkthrough on not just the calendar of events, but also the apparel, inequality of life, or game mechanics that are added, as well as the fundamental reasons why those changes were made to the game. And then there's a Q&A session. The devs talk about the exotics and the new gear. But will we get any of that? I mean, it's a much broader audience at Ubisoft Forward, so I think it'd be a weird business decision to include all of that detail, at least the detail that we're accustomed to, in this sort of platform. So Aiden the Wolf has got a darn good question. Is this going to be a live stream for the upcoming season? What do you guys think? Will we get all the details we're used to? And this next comment sort of hones in on that point. So Chris states here sarcastically, Ubisoft Forward set list, Star Wars Outlaws, 45 minutes, Assassin's Creed Shadows, 45 minutes, X Defiant, 20 minutes, The Division 2 Year 6, 3 minutes. Now, I know he's being funny here and sarcastic, but I don't think he's that far off. I'd love to hear what you guys expect to see during the Ubisoft Forward. So major titles like Star Wars and Avatar tend to take the show, but for the last couple of Ubisoft Forward events, Assassin's Creed took a ton of time, and Heartland did too, and of course that's been canceled, but we hadn't seen much from X Defiant in these events, but at one point it was showcased. As far as my positioning, I absolutely agree with Chris, because the Division has always been the ignored stepchild when it comes to the attention it gets at this platform. I would say that X Defiant's probably going to get more time. I think that is Ubisoft's baby. I think they have a lot of their chips in that basket, and it has a really great start, but now it's about player retention. And the upcoming seasons are going to reveal whether that happens or not. And I think that's what we're going to see when it comes to X-Defiant. I think we're going to hear a report on how things have been going, but also we're going to get the reveal on the upcoming season. As far as Assassin's Creed goes, yeah, I think we're going to see a heavy emphasis on shadows, which does look cool, by the way. I am definitely interested myself, but I would not be surprised if I saw 30 minutes or so related to that. And Star Wars Outlaws is probably going to get a big chunk of time because it's also near release. This game is suspected to come out this summer. But one that Chris didn't mention was Rainbow Six, and that's the other favorite child of Ubisoft. So I'd imagine that's gonna get a little bit of the show too. But yeah, when he says the Division 2 Year 6, 3 minutes, I actually don't think he's too far off. I'd probably say maybe a couple of more minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so. But yeah, I think he's pretty close. What do you guys think? And our fellow Chillin' in Mega City 1 has the same feeling, and he says, give the Division 2 presentation the same love Assassin's Creed will inevitably get. I'm with you, Chillin'. And in the past 2 Ubisoft Forward events, we saw pretty much the same show on Heartland, which was more of a behind-the-scenes thing. And Quesador over on Twitter says, after DLC delay and Heartland cancel, I lost hope in the Division 2. And I totally get it, and he's not alone. There were so many comments that said basically the same thing as our fellow here. So many people said, oh, Heartland, why'd you cancel Heartland? Bring back Heartland. There's so many disheartened agents out there because Heartland was canceled. And I'm willing to bet that during the live stream and the chat feed, we're gonna see a lot of remarks around Heartland. Brace yourselves. Are you one of those? Are you still feeling the pain of the Heartland cancel? And if so, does that make you a little bit bitter about Rainbow Six and X-Defiant? You taking it out on those games? Michael Brocato over on Twitter says, you have let most of us down too many times. We don't care anymore. Wow, powerful words, and how many of you feel that way? Now, he's not saying I don't love the game and I'm not playing it, but he says, we don't care what you say anymore. Your words, the hype, we're not listening to them anymore. Personally, I do care. However, I take what they say for a grain of salt because I'm going off of experience here, and I know to keep my expectations really low. Well, at least when it comes to the Division 2, because they make small moves on this game. To be honest with you, I'm super surprised we're here. I'm super surprised we're in Year 6, and they made the call for the Division 3, but time will tell. That's still a ways out there. We don't know when that game is gonna launch. Will we find out during this live stream when the Division 3 will hit? But more importantly, what does it take for Ubisoft and the developer team for the Division 2 to get you to care? What is it going to take? And for me, one of those things are don't cancel our dedicated 1 hour in a season of dev attention. That creates apathy when you cancel that on us. We get no state of the games. We get no dedicated community manager that's proactively reaching out to us or giving us FaceTime as a community. We're not getting any tutorials from the devs or any supported content. It's just this one live stream we get to kick off the season. And now we don't have that. So Darlin Alves says, the biggest problem is that you abandoned the game. And I think he's talking about that 2021 period. Or is he talking about Heartland? The time you spent developing a game that you are not going to release could have been used to bring new content to the Division 2. Well, I think I said that exact same thing. I think that's where it hurts the community most. For those that see it this way, it hurts the most because there was that period where the devs went underground and we didn't hear from them and we got that recycled content. And then they came out of hibernation and we got this roadmap, and now the roadmap is falling apart. Well, to a degree. So we got a delay in the DLC that's pushed out to next year, 2026. We got Division 3, but it's way out there, but that's good news. And then they canceled Heartland, which was the biggest thing a lot of people were looking forward to next to the Division 3. And its release was imminent, and people were playing those betas, and last minute it's canceled. Fine, but millions upon millions of dollars flushed down the drain. And what if those dollars were reappropriated to the Division 2? What would our game look like now if we had those funds and that size of development team? I think Darlin Alves has a good point. What do you guys think about this comment? And here's another comment from James McKenzie saying, gutted about Heartland. Really hope we get the Division 3 next. So what are we going to expect when it comes to the Division 3 news during Ubisoft Forward? Well, I would say not much. That's my guess. And the reason why is because it was mentioned during the annual report or a comment from Yves Gouliron, however you say his last name. Sorry if I messed it up. Is that the announcement of Division 3 was extremely casual. And if you read between his lines, it seems like he was disappointed and felt like it was an inappropriate amount of attention, or it was an inappropriate way to announce a game. And I sort of agree with him, but either way, I'm glad that we got the news. But what I think we're going to see at Ubisoft Forward is not any real details around the game. I think we're going to see a more formal announcement that the Division 3 is something in the works. And we're probably going to hear some words from the director, who's over there working on Star Wars and was supposed to make the transition when Star Wars was released, which was supposed to happen originally last January, and now we're looking at this summer. So the question is, are they in motion on the Division 3? Will they confirm that? Will we get a release date? Probably not. We never get release dates, not until the game is released. Look at X Defiant. You got like a 1 week notice, or was it 2 weeks? Either way, beta, silence, tons of silence, beta, release. And I think we're gonna see something similar with the Division 3. We're not gonna hear much at all. Maybe next year at Ubisoft Forward, we'll get some behind the scenes stuff, maybe a little bit of a trailer or something like that. But I caution you, do not expect much at Ubisoft Forward. And if we do get a ton of information and details on Division 3, boy, will I be surprised. On another note, I was thinking, you know, the Snowdrop engine was updated for X Defiant for the next gen consoles. And maybe that will speed up the development time for Division 3. Maybe it's closer than we think. Thoughts? Okay, so here's the deal. Here's my perspective. This is why it's a big deal for me personally and my community, is that the PTS was extremely underwhelming when it comes to the quality of drops. So we had 2 exotics that are pretty much dead on arrival. So we had the shotgun and these knees that were super niche and maybe more oriented to PvP, which is a very much small minority of our communities. And then finally, the 3rd exotic that we typically get is a recycled exotic. So it's not even a new weapon. They just took an attempt at revamping the Diamondback rifle, and I gotta say, it doesn't look good. So all 3 exotics, in my opinion, are bad. They're gonna collect dust in the stash if they're released as they were presented during the PTS. And the season before was the same thing. We got 3 crap exotics. So that's 2 seasons in a row. 0 for 6 exotics are not making the grade. And we just can't have 2 back-to-back seasons of crap gear. Last season, the only thing we really got that was good was the Palisades brand set, and everything else was, I don't know, sad. And this season, we did get the rifle gear set, and it's got potential. And pretty much the entire community, hands down, agreed that it needs more damage. And the stacking element was sort of crap on it. So that needs to be addressed. But will it? Will it be addressed? And if it's not, can we expect it to be changed in an upcoming patch? And this is the information we need at this stage. We have community leaders. Many of them are content creators. Some of them aren't. Whoever they are, whoever you are, you're not getting this information. And the community leaders need this information so we can guide our communities appropriately. And that being said, it's still possible that the devs might do a season 1 live stream dedicated for the community, and they just haven't made the announcement yet, and maybe it's going to be last minute. We've seen that before. Or maybe they just drop a video on demand and they just upload it after everything is revealed from Ubisoft Forward, sort of to drive energy coming out of Ubisoft Forward. So it could be a marketing stunt, and maybe all that information is in there. But whether we get it or not, again, it's that face time we need from our devs for the game that we are investing our time in and spending our money on. And if they hope for us to spend more money on those microtransactions that we're probably going to start getting in seasons 2.0, then I would like to see the devs start acting like the devs over at X Defiant, super proactive and more data driven from the comments coming out of social media and whatnot. That reminds me, we're probably going to see mentions on seasons 2.0 coming the following season and season 2. Not sure if they're ready to give us any real details. I'd be surprised if they were. Ubisoft tends to hold their cards close to the chest until they're up against a release date. And because season 1 is right around the corner, that's why we're getting information now on it, or at this event. And same goes with the DLC. There's going to be mention. Maybe there'll be a splash image, but I doubt we will see anything relevant on it. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lore recap, maybe even from somebody like NGN, on what has happened in the story as year 5 closed out. So what do you think about about us losing our 1 hour of FaceTime from the devs to discuss the upcoming season. Do you think they're trying to dodge the bullet about the gear that they're probably going to release as is? Or is it something less trivial? Maybe they're just really busy with Ubisoft Forward stuff. Love to hear your thoughts. Mark your words, Bandidos. Thank you for hanging out with me today. My name is Tuxedo Bandido, and this was another episode of The Division 2. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The Division 2. And if you like builds like this, check out the recommended build video I have here for you. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Follow me.
I get it.